Accountability and holding yourself accountable is something that is very important to leadership, and we hear it from pretty much every leader on the planet. But I've been exploring some methods recently of holding yourself accountable that I think are really interesting and that I'd like to share. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Parker Eimerl, and this is the Conversation Station. So I think it's interesting as I explore this idea of accountability, because holding yourself accountable is difficult, right? Because your perspective is biased, and there isn't an answer to that because you are always going to see things from your perspective. You have to explore other perspectives, but at the end of the day, you have a perspective that is skewed based on the life you live. And I think that's where this idea of an accountability partner comes into the picture. But I think that there are other methods when you don't have an accountability partner, or even when you do, because an accountability partner has to be accountable in holding you accountable. And that's a very difficult thing to do, is to hold others accountable, because even if they're holding you accountable, it's just this whole, it's this whole symbiotic relationship. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think that there's a value there. But one of the interesting things I've been exploring, and it's kind of been the root of this 30-day challenge, and it's this idea of tell the world what you want to be accountable on, not because the world is going to enforce you, but because your ego wants you to get it done when you make a promise to the world. And ego is a topic that gets put in a very negative light in a lot of aspects. And I think that there are certainly negatives to ego, but there are ways where you can easily leverage that ego into accountability, into positives. And I think one of the biggest ways to do that is accountability through social media. Because social media is a game that inherently preys on our ego. You want that next Instagram like. You want that follow. You want that number to grow bigger. And that is an ego play, right? These people that edit their photos, it's all for ego in a lot of ways. Now, there are always other factors there, right? In many situations. But there is always going to be a sense of ego associated with social media because of the entire fundamental idea of social media. It's kind of like compliment fishing, right? Where sometimes you post just for the likes. And I think the analogy is sometimes you do something, you're just doing something great because it's great and people compliment you. But there are times when you do something for the compliments, right? And so when we take that to social media, sometimes you post because you want the value. You want, there is a fully positive motivator there. But often there is an element of that negative of posting for the likes. And it's something we have to detach from, but it's a part of human nature in many ways to have an ego about us. But the entire idea of using social media as your accountability partner is put it out there. Put it out there, and I'll expand into this beyond social media in a second, but put it out on social media, right? Go on your Instagram story, even make a post on the platforms that you use most frequently, where the people, you respect and who respect you and who you care about are on there, and just make a post. I did this last night. I said, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Boom. And then I made a little countdown until I woke up. And it helped me to get up at 6. But the fact was just the idea that I made a commitment to the world. I didn't make a commitment to a specific person. Sometimes when you make a commitment to a specific person, your parents, your family, your friends, you know that they are your family and your friends and that they will forgive you if you fail. But when you broadcast to the entire world, you have both this internal, like, I'm going to get this done because I said I was going to get it done, which I think is embedded in us. But there's also that fear That fear of what are they going to say? What will they think of me if I fail? I don't want to be a failure. I'm not a failure. And so we can leverage that into our accountability. But I also think an even more powerful version of this is target those you respect. So send a message to your mentors. Put a post up in a group full of people you respect. Tell the people you respect as much as humanly possible. Tell them what and why. Or not even necessarily the why, just tell them the what. Because the fact is, the people you respect most, you want them to respect you. And so it does help to have this sense of, I don't want to be judged by these people. And it can be more than just, I don't want to be judged. It can be, I want to be respected. And so is the person they respect not going to follow through on their word? And you can do this fully mentally without sending them a message. But it is 100% more powerful if you do that. And I will even give you this. Even if it's someone you respect, maybe, but you don't know, so it's maybe a big person on social media. Let's say it's David Goggins. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do, 1,000 push-ups tomorrow. Or even if it's something simple, like waking up early. Just go onto their profile, click message, and send that. Whether they read it or not, it doesn't matter. It's the mentality that comes along with telling the world who you are, what you are doing, because you don't want to fail the world, man. And it's just this entire idea. And so that was the basis of this 30-day challenge, right? And I would even do this when you have an idea or something you want to execute on that pops into your mind at 3 a.m., send it to someone. If it's something you're going to do tomorrow, send a message, make an Instagram story. Because that was what the 30 and 30 challenge was based on. So I started this podcast in a whim, but I also decided to do the 30-day challenge on a whim. And it was literally, I don't remember exactly when. I think I was in a coffee shop. I might have said before I was in the shower. I don't think I was in the shower. It's hard to remember exactly, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do 30 podcast episodes in 30 days. And I took about 3 to 4 days to do it, to think about it. And then I just put posts, reached out to mentors, and I talked about it. I talked about it to my friends, to my family, to the people in my life. And so I didn't have one accountability partner. My life was my accountability partner. And life is powerful because this idea of just life is internal more than external. Now, you do have your external life, but the fundamental idea of life is internal because it's very unique person to person. And so by telling the world, telling your life who you are and who you are going to be, it makes it a lot easier to become that person. And I think it's been interesting because even after I did that, right, I put a post up like 15 days before I started the challenge in the Apogee Strong Workplace group, full of young men and mentors alike that I truly respect. And after that, I had a heck of a lot of doubts, even from my mom being like, "Are you, have you committed to this? Are you sure you're going to be able to do it?" But the fact that I told the people I respected, boom, that's why I did it. That is the why that I executed. Now, there are other whys, but it's a motivating factor when you put a commitment out there and you commit to the world and you commit to the people in your life. And so my entire point with all this is commit. Commit to that thing. Commit to the thing you want to do. Commit to it internally, but also commit to it externally, because when you have a commitment external, it becomes a lot harder to avoid a commitment that is both external and internal than it is to avoid one that's purely internal. Because if no one knows what you're trying to do, no one can hold you accountable. If one person knows what you want to do, they can forgive you. But if everyone knows, then there is no excuse. There is no one to forgive you. Because for every person that will forgive you, there's one person that won't. And so take that mindset. Leverage your ego. Leverage your social media into taking action, into becoming that best version of yourself. And adapt as these things keep going along. But every time your goal changes, put a new commitment out there. But don't fail. Transform your goal. Right? But my thing is if you put a timeline on something, 30 days, 30 podcast episodes, just do it, man. Even if something else comes up, do a 1-minute episode, right? If you're going to work out every day for 30 days straight, okay, something comes up. Okay, 50 push-ups. Get those done in 5 minutes. It's very simple. You just have to have the accountability and the ability to reflect upon yourself, so that and this idea of accountability inside yourself first, but again, broadcast to the world, tell the world who you want to be, tell them who you will be, and then go become that person. Go prove every hater wrong. Give the haters something to hate, and then prove them wrong. And that, my friends, is the point. Man, I'm excited. So coming up tomorrow, I have an incredible podcast episode coming up with the hosts of another podcast. So it'll be the first dual guest podcast. And then on the 30th, we're going to do a takeaways episode. And then watch out in October, because gonna evaluate, probably take 3-4 days off or so, and then we're gonna come back and attack it with some just upgraded. It's just gonna be a better show because of what I've learned over the last 30 days. Systems will be better, consistency will be better, and overall, we will be better. And think about that. Do something hard for a set amount of time and make that a long-term thing. And then when you get done with that, like when I said long-term there, I meant 30 days. Okay, let's say 30 days. Boom. Okay, you take those lessons from those 30 days and you apply them to the rest of your life going forward. And so you look upon those lessons and you realize, what things should I not continue, or what things should I scale down? What things should I scale up going forward? That's the point. That's the game. That's the play. Thank you guys at home for watching. I'm Parker Eimerl. I've been talking to you, and this has been another episode of The Conversation Station.